Hey guys, Production Music Live here, and this is a template, and I've already made a production technique tutorial. You find the link in the description. Today we're making this template here, this song from scratch, and we will do this break part. I'm going to play it for you now. We are just using Ableton effects and Massive, and all the drum samples are coming out of our Deep Premium sample pack. All those Massive presets are out of our new preset pack for Massive called Boiler Production. But for this tutorial here, I will try to make every preset from scratch, so you can easily just build them on your own. So we will start with the kick and those three basses here playing. And then we will do the drumming, and then at the end we will do the plug sound and this other lead sound here, and we will have a look here at those effects. So here we are. I'm going to show you the master. This is the master I made for this template. By the way, you can buy this template, just check out the link in the description as well. So having this master already applied makes it a lot easier for me to make this tutorial now from scratch. Let's have a quick look here. We have a little low cut at around 30 Hertz. Then we have a little dip here around 500, just 1.12 dBs with those Q settings. And then we have a little high shelf here at the end at 4.4K, again 1.1 dBs up and with this Q here. And then we are just taking an utility and pushing it up a lot by 17.2. Then we have a limiter. You just pull this knob up to 10.5 dB. Then we have this glue compressor on, really short attack time, release time on auto mode, and ratio 10:1. And you're pulling down the threshold to -7.9. And you're giving it a little bit of makeup, and make sure that the dry wet button is 100% applied. Then at the end we're just taking another limiter, setting this gain up to 2.9 dBs. So this is really everything you have to do. Hey guys, hello from the future. I've just decided to provide you with the premium samples we are using here. So check out the link in the description and download them. So first thing we are going to do is setting up a sidechain. So we're taking the sample kick number 3 here and just loading it. It sounds like this. What we are going to do is pitching this down by 4 semitones here, because we want to have the sample played at the same pitch than those other sub basses are playing. And we are reducing a little bit of the tail, so we shorten the sample here by just taking down the sustain and taking down the decay to those settings here. Everything else can stay like it is on default. We make it a little louder here. Then we can just duplicate this track here, and we are deactivating this first track and we'll call it sidechain, and this one we are calling kick. So then let's create a MIDI clip, and we're going inside the MIDI clip and we are drawing these notes here. So now we have to reduce this gain here down to 13.5. Now let's listen in. Okay, this is our kick drum, and now we have our sidechain set up. We're coming to the next track, and again we are just duplicating this kick. So now let's zoom in a bit, and what we are doing is we are creating a MIDI clip here. So we're going inside the MIDI clip and we are drawing in the notes. So we're going to 1.1.4 and we're just moving the MIDI here away from the grid, and then we are just taking this and setting it to 1.2.3 here as well, and we are reducing the velocity on the second hit. So let's go back and we can just drag this longer and have a listen. Okay, now we have our rhythm here. Of course, now we have to edit the second kick here. So first thing we're going to do is making it quieter to around 24, 5, 6. And then we are going to take EQ8 here. And we are taking this low cut and moving it up to around here. And we are taking this bell here. Let's listen. Okay, what we're going to do as well is reducing here the decay time a bit to about 145 to make it shorter, and then we are giving it a little bit of attack. Let's listen in. Okay, nice. So let's move on. We are making our first preset here with Massive. Let's load in on Massive. So first let's take the MIDI information, and we are taking just the MIDI here from the kick, but we are delaying this second hit here a bit to give it more groove. And then we're going down with the volume a lot to minus 33.5, and let's make the preset. So now go on new sound just to make sure that you have the exact same default preset. And then we are going to take a low pass 4 filter. We are reducing the resonance here all the way down, cut off to around here. Then we don't need this first macro here. We're going to clear macro 1, and we're taking this macro and assigning it to the cutoff. Then we are going to the second envelope and we are taking down the attack. We are reducing the decay and the sustain here as well. And we're giving it a little bit of release to avoid some clicks on the end of the bass. And then we are taking this envelope here and applying it to the cutoff and range something about here. So let's name this filter, and then we are taking the second macro here and we are playing it to the wavetable position and dragging it up. Then we are activating the second oscillator. Again, the same wavetable here, but this time we're assigning the macro the other way around. So this one is set to like 7 o'clock, and this one is to set about 5 o'clock, and then just the full range. Intensity up and amp all the way up. What we are doing now is pitching this down by 24 semitones and this one by 12 semitones. Now we can have a first listen. So now we can play around a little bit with the filter. So let's open up the filter here with our macro, and let's move around here as well the wavetable position. And this is really interesting. Let's name this table. We are going to the FX section here, and we are taking the classic tube, reducing a little bit drive, and then we are assigning a new macro to this tube here, and we are setting the range to about 2 o'clock. Well, now let's play around here. Let's name this tube. So let's move on. We're going here to the insert and we are taking a Sine Shaper here and reducing a bit of the drive. And then we're just taking another macro here, assigning it range to about here. We name this shaper. Okay, nice. Finally, we are activating this EQ and we are giving it a little bit of low shelf and a little bit of boost for this selected frequency. By the way, if you already have this preset pack, it's the bass Logana. It's called Logana. Then let's take an EQ8, and what we are doing is we are cutting we are applying a little bit of low cut here because we are playing another two sub basses. And one thing I forgot to mention, of course, we have to make this preset here velocity sensitive. We are just taking this velocity button, applying it to the sidechain of the amp, and now our bass is velocity sensitive. Listen in again. So already a nice groove. Let's add another bass here. So again, we're going to Massive, again, new sound. So this one will be a quicker one. Let's go to Sine to Square. Again, 2 octaves down, and then we are going with this wavetable position to around 9 o'clock. So it's a really sine-ish bass. Everything else stays like this. Then we are going to the filter section here, and we are taking this low pass 4 filter again. We can assign a macro here. Let's put the range up to about something like this. We again reducing the resonance. Okay, let's draw in quick the MIDI notes. We are taking this pattern here again, but we are deleting the first note and we are making the second note a little longer. So, by the way, we have to make it quieter. 32. Okay, let's listen in. Now we have to make sure to get the right settings. We have to like activate this filter, and then we're going to mix two, so everything, only the filtered signal is coming through. So now we have a nice sub bass playing. By the way, you need headphones or big speakers to be able to hear this. And now let's open up the filter cutoff a bit. So again, let's go to the FX section here, and we're taking this teletube. We can assign here another macro to it. So range something around here and try wet something around there. Then again, we are taking this sine shaper here to give it even more distortion, sine shaper, but we are applying it just a little bit. Let's pull down macro number 3 a bit. Okay, nice little groove here. We are playing in F, so we are taking those midis from the first bass down to an F, and this one as well, down to an F. Okay, nice. So let's move on and let's make the third and final bass. Again, massive. Pull down the volume to -27. This bass is pretty simple. Just take the sine to square wavetable again, pull down the wavetable button here and pitch it down by 24. And what we have now is just a simple sine sub bass. And we are going to draw in the notes. So again, a new MIDI clip. And then we are going to this F2 and playing it all the way through. Let's listen in again. Okay, we've made the presets now, and now we have to make all those three basses work together, because like this is just a big wall of sound totally messed up. So what we are doing, we are starting with the sub bass, and what we need now is a lot of sidechain compression. We are taking one compressor here, we are clicking, activating sidechain. So, and the first signal will come from the sidechain track. And now let's just pull down the velocity quite a bit and let's listen in. Okay, what we're doing now is we are decreasing the release time a bit because our kick is relatively short, so we can make the sub bass kicking faster. Now we have this nasty click. The old compressor of Live 8 was better for sidechaining. I don't know why they messed up, but if you want to get rid of this click, you play around with the attack time here. And now we have a click every time the MIDI note is set. We open up Massive, we're going to the fourth envelope, which is controlling the amp. And maybe we can fix it by giving it a little bit more of attack and release. And what we can do as well, go to the voicing tab and put this on mono rate. This will often fix those issues. Okay, nice. Now another compressor, and we are again sidechaining it, but this time we are taking the first bass we made, so Massive 4, so it's this bass here. And what we're doing now is again pulling down the threshold quite a bit to about 40. And yeah, let's listen in first. Nice. And what we can do now here is giving it a little bit more of release. So the compressor takes more time to come back. Let's compare it. Okay, now let's go to the second bass we made. Here, Massive number 5. And again, we are taking a compressor, and this time, again, sidechain and we are taking input from our first bass. We're pulling down the threshold to about 20 minus 28. So let's listen in again. So now we have a nice groove going on. Basically, we have our kick, then we have this higher kick here playing. With some attack, we can give it even more attack. We're playing those notes here, and then we have our main bass. Let's call it our main bass, because this bass is not sidechained to anything. Then we have our second bass, which is just playing at the end, like a longer note, but the longer note is a little bit sidechained to the first bass we made. And then we have the second bass, which is our sub, our foundation, and this bass is sidechained to the kick and to the first bass. Okay, before we start with the drums, let's activate this delay button here, and then you have this nice feature. You can delay single tracks by milliseconds or by samples, and we are delaying this bass here by 4 and this one by 3 milliseconds. And then we're going to the kick, and we are adding here an EQ8. We are doing a little low cut because we have a lot of sub bass playing, and then we are giving a dip here around 200 and reducing the Q a bit, something like this, and then we are reducing a little bit around 1K. With this EQ here, it's more audible. We have room here in this 200 section, so we can add here a little bit, and we don't have room here at those sub frequencies, so we are cutting them away. Well, this is just a little sound design thing here. So we have a new MIDI track, and we are going to make the off hi-hat. So we're going to the premium closed hi-hats, and then we are taking close hi-hat 1, wet. So we have this sample, we have dry and wet. We take the dry one, the wet one, and then we are just shorten this a little bit. Let's quickly draw in the notes. So, okay, let's make it quieter first. And let's reduce the decay time and the sustain. And we are moving on. We're going to the premium open hi-hats, and we are picking number 14. This one, try number 14, loading it in. And we are setting the start point to around here, and let's make it quieter first. We're going down to minus 22. Let's give it a little bit of attack, because we are starting right in the middle of the sample. Let's pull down the decay to 245. And of course the sustain, and minus 12 is nice. And then we are pitching the sample down by 2 semitones. Let's copy those notes, and then let's listen to both of them. And now let's create another MIDI clip, and we are going to the shaker section, and we are picking Shaker Try 7, this one, and we'll make sure that it starts right away. We are shortening this sample a lot by pulling down the sustain to 20 minus 26 and the decay to 200, like 22 is nice. Let's pull down the volume. And as you can hear, it's really harsh, so we need some EQing. We're taking an EQ8 and we are cutting. Okay, then let's copy those notes here as well, and let's start to give those samples some room. And we are not using a sand effect because we want to have different settings for this sample here. We're taking a quite long decay time, so something around 900, and we don't need this cutoff here. Then we are applying just about 33% of the reverb. We are boosting the early reflections. Listen to it. So this one controls the volume of the early reflections and this one controls the volume of the tail. Another thing we want to do is, I can hear a nasty frequency here, and let's reduce this. We're taking here a bell with a high Q. And we found the frequency that was annoying, and then we are cutting away. Let's compare. Another one here, again. Okay, then we are going to this head here. We are taking an EQ8 and we are just low cutting it a bit. We don't have to remove here any peaks because this sample sounds good. And then of course we are taking again a reverb here. And this time we're putting the tri-wet to about 23% and like around 700 decay time. And again, we're deactivating this high cut. We're reducing a little bit of the tail of the verb and we are giving it a little bit on the early reflections. And let's have a listen. Then let's move on to the first one. And for that one, I want to have a really short reverb. Deactivating this high cut again, the spin and chorus as well, and we're going for 500 something and try that around 30%. And we are reducing the diffuse here. Okay, already good. Let's apply an EQ8 here. Then let's select all three tracks and hit Command G. Let's call them off heads. First, let's take an EQ8 here, and it's a little bit too harsh, too loud in the higher frequencies, so we have to control this a little bit. We are taking this high shelf. So, and then we can just take a glue compressor here and controlling a little bit the volume and gluing the sounds together. We are pretty low in volume here, as you can see. So let's make them a little bit louder, select all of them, and then go up by like 2.5 dB and check back. Okay, let's insert another MIDI track, and we are going to do a little nice trick. We are taking a crash cymbal first. Let's create a MIDI clip of 2 bars here. Now we are adding a note here at the end, and we are moving this off the grid and pitching this down by 2 octaves. And now you have a nice little effect. It's too loud, of course, so let's pull down the volume. Let's take a reverb to make it sound nicer. Okay, let's loop this whole section here and let's fine-tune it with this track delay here. We adding some other heads here to our groove, new MIDI clip. We're going to closed hi-hat and we're picking try number 3. Loading this in, create a MIDI clip. Let's go inside and we are making a little groove here and we're playing the first and then we are a little bit off the grid, as you can see. And then we are again off the grid here and finally again on the grid. First, pull down the volume. So and then we want to shorten the sample a bit. Pull down the sustain to -17 and the decay to around 300. Again, we're taking an EQ8 here and we are cutting a little bit. And then let's make it stereo a bit. So we're taking a simple delay. We are going on time mode and then we are saying the left channel is delayed by 1 millisecond and the right channel by, let's try 5. Okay, let's again find the right groove here with this track delay. And let's go back to this one here as well. So now what we can do is just copy the MIDI here, and we're just adding another layer, and we are taking the closed hi-hat number 9, pull down the volume. So let's make them those heads quieter. Let's group those two hi-hats. So then let's continue. We are going to D premium and we are taking the closed hi-hat number 37. This one. And now we are creating a MIDI clip about 1 bar. So we're going to 1.1.3. And then we are taking another hit here, a little bit off. So this is 1.1.4 and we're doing this a little bit off. The next one here as well. And then we are going to 1.2.3 and we're moving this a little bit in front of the grid. And then 1.2.4, something like this. And we are selecting those two notes and we're going down with the velocity to about here, and we're taking this and making it quieter and this one louder, and it can be longer as well. Okay, and then we're just taking everything and duplicating it. Now move down the volume to 34 and let's have a listen. Nice little groove. The next thing we're going to do is fine tune it here. Now we're doing a nice little trick. We're going to the auto pan loading this in and setting the amount to about 64 and the rate to about 13K. And phase can stay like this and shape as well. And now it's playing a little bit more on the sides. Listen in. Okay, a nice little effect here. Next thing is we're going to take a reverb and we're going to take an utility, and we are selecting both and hit Command G. So this is grouped. Now we want to have a really short decay time, and we don't want to have any diffuse. And we are making this pretty wet. Let's listen in again. And as you can hear now, it's quieter. By the way, you can turn off this high cut. So we are moving this utility up by like 11 dBs, and let's check back. Sounds special with those two effects. So we can just take another EQ here, and just to make sure nothing is played below like 200. Okay, let's check back. Okay, I like it this way. So the next drum sound we will make with Massive. Go to Massive. And now we're going down here and selecting this high metallic patch. Then we are setting the color to about here. And then let's take an LFO and assign it to this amp. So before you set the range, turn up the amp volume and then pull down. Now we are going to take an all-pass filter. And we are taking this envelope number 5 and assigning it to the cutoff, something around here. And then we are giving it a little bit of resonance. And the next thing is, of course, we have to turn off this oscillator here. And then we're going to filter 2 and take a band reject filter. And we are taking this 5th envelope, LFO here again. We are just applying this LFO just a little bit to around here. And we are selecting this shape here. Great. So let's quickly draw in a MIDI node. We are going to create a MIDI clip of half a bar, and we are just drawing in a long note, and then we are going down with the volume to -38. And let's have a listen what we've got so far. I forgot we have to go back to the LFO number 6, which is routed to the amp, and we are taking this shape here again. Okay, so and then we're going to have this classic tube applied. Drive can stay like this, and we're just adding a little bit of drive. And then we are taking a reverb and increasing the tri-wet density all the way up, and let's listen in. Okay, nice. And let's take another LFO, and this time we are assigning it to the panning of the amp. And first we have to make it an LFO, so go here, click LFO. and we are taking the sine wave here, and what we are doing is we are routing this LFO number 5 here as well to the rate. And we are reducing the ampere a bit. Let's listen in again. Okay, and now we have to get the color right. So let's drag this up a little bit. Now we are going to apply the overdrive and utility, and again we are selecting both and grouping them. And now we want to have like those settings, moving this a little bit to the left and pull up the drive to 70, around 70, and dry wet to about 30. Reducing here with this utility by minus 10 dB, and let's check back. Okay, this is too much distortion. Let's go down with the drive here. And the next thing is we're taking a compressor here, sidechaining it to the sidechain track here. And then we are just pulling down here the threshold to about minus 37. We are reducing the release time a bit. Okay, nice little effect here. Again, an utility. And we are drawing in some automation. So click around here and then just here again. And now we are dragging this up a little bit. And then something like this. And then we're just going to show automation in new lane. And now you have your automation here showing up, and we are just duplicating it. Now we can just apply an EQ8 here again and cut a little bit. Okay, nice. Let's check it back in the mix. Now let's create some shakers here. New MIDI clip, and we are going to take the premium shaker number 2. And now it's really important here again to shorten the sample. We're going to around 35 and then down to 23 with the decay here. Then we are just duplicating this track, and now we are panning one thing to the left and another thing to the right. And by the way, select all and pull down the volume to minus 28. So now let's create a MIDI clip. We just want to have half a bar here. We are taking 16th notes. So let's solo them and let's listen. So first thing is we have to go to the left panning and move this further to the left. And now we are delaying this track here, and we are applying an EQ8 on the right side, and we are boosting a little bit of the high end here. So let's check it back. Okay, now we have some nice shakers. We're going to group them here again, call them shaker. Let's apply some nice effects to those shakers. We are taking this vinyl distortion, which is pretty cool for drums and shakers like this, and we are deactivating this here, and then we are increasing this to about 9, and let's listen in. You can apply even something here, because now it is taking a little bit of the harshness of the song. It's not that necessarily here for the shakers, but it's nice to do on other things instead of just EQing. Okay, now we are taking a frequency shifter and we're doing a nice little trick here. Just move down this frequency button here to around 9K, and then we are applying just a little bit of this tri-wet. Listen what this does. So just about 2%, and maybe it's too dark. We can move this up. Nice, so now we have to take an EQ8 here to cut out the lower frequencies we just added. And now, of course, we need some side chaining. And again, we are selecting here this sidechain track and moving this down to about 26. And listen in. Okay, nice. We have our shakers. Let's listen to them in context. Let's make them louder, and you may already have noticed that they're not in the groove. So let's fine tune them with this track delay of the group. Okay guys, I've just checked, and this tutorial is already over 50 minutes long. I've decided to hurry up a little bit because we have still a lot of interesting stuff in front of us. So I've imported the clap, and I'm going through those settings. So the first clap is clap dry number 2. You have a pretty short decay time here, 185. Sustain all the way down, pitch down by over 5 semitones here, and then here check the volume is minus 6.7. So this is everything you have to know about the simpler settings here. Then we are moving on, and we're having some low and high cut here. Then we have this reverb. Check out the pre-delay, it's about 23 seconds. Really short decay time here, about around 400 milliseconds. You have to shorten the room size here, decreasing here this diffuse button, so the tail of the verb, and you are increasing the early reflections of the verb, and try at about 34. Then it's pitched to the right a bit, and volume minus 19.2, and here it sounds like this. The next clap here is clap dry number 1. Here again, decay time around 145, sustain -22. Then it's just transposed down by -3 semitones. We have a little high shelf here, starting at around 4K, panned to the right as well, and it's coming earlier by 3 milliseconds, and volume is -17.8, and the sample sounds like this. So really short again. And then finally we have those two tracks here, and it's basically the clap dry 43, shorter decay 380 around and -19 dB, pitched up by 5 semitones, some overdrive, drive to 32% and drop at about 50%, and just move this a little bit down here, a low cut and a high cut here, and the whole sample is mono. The volume is down to -24 dBs, and then you just duplicate this track here. One you pan to the right, the other you're panning to the left, and one channel is delayed by 6 milliseconds, sounding like this. I forgot to mention, it has a different starting point, so just on default it is like this, and then you just grab it and find a good spot here. And then we are going to the group, and we have here another reverb, really small size and really short decay time, as you can see, 450 milliseconds. Then reducing the tail a lot to -14 dB, and really wet signal 67%, and then you're taking this diffuse network settings here, and you're just deactivating chorus, bin, and those high and low cut, and no pre-delay, but it's not so important. Then we're taking this frequency shifter. You're just going down with this fine button by -17.5 and drive it all the way up to wet, and then we are giving it boost here around 4K. And the whole group is panned a bit to the right and has delay of 1 millisecond, and it's even a little louder, and the whole group is sounding like this. Listen to it in the context. I just want to demonstrate you how important it is for the groove to have the right length of the samples. So let me just turn off the decay and sustain here for all those samples. Compared to let's move on. What we are doing now, a new MIDI clip, effects, and we are taking effect number 3. And then we are setting the starting point to around here and the end to around there. Everything else can stay like this on default. Well, then we are giving it a little bit of room here, and we're going to reduce the tail to -11 dB. Let me just quickly demonstrate you what this means. So here we have a lot of tail, Now we are cutting it away. So we are giving it a lot of decay time here, around 3.8 or 6 is fine. Then dry wet to around 43, and let's listen in again. Let's call this pre-clap. And what we are going to do is placing the sample here right before the second clap. We're just going to C3. We are reducing here the volume to minus 20, and we are just placing the same sample here in front of the fourth clap as well. Now we're doing a nice trick here. We're just taking an utility, click here, show automation in new lane, and then we are cutting when the clap is coming in, and here as well. And then we are just fading those samples in. Something like this. Listen in again. Nice, and then we are doing a little edit here. We are zooming in and we are just shorten this sample here. And you could also just automate here the end again. Nice. Let's go quickly back to this cymbal track here and let's make it a little louder. Now I have it around 36. Listen in again. Now we are just selecting those two bars and hitting Command J. And now we can drag this all over. And then we are taking the automation here as well and just duplicating. So now we have our nice pre-clap. Let's move on. The next thing we're going to do, we need some crashes here for the break part. So we're going to the premium cymbals, and then we are taking cymbal wet number 1, and we are pitching this down by 2 semitones and decay to around 450 and sustain down by -7, around -7, and everything can stay like this. And then we are taking a reverb and 1.4 decay time. We want to have this pretty wet, so this can stay like this here on 55%. Take an EQ and are doing a little low cut here. And then let's draw in the notes. We can just take the MIDI notes of the kick and we are shorten it. Sorry. And like this. And then we have to adjust the volume here, -23. Okay, let's listen in. Okay, maybe it's a little bit too loud. Let's reduce it here to -25. Now we need something here right before the drop, and therefore we are taking some snares. So I've loaded up a drum rack here, and we have 3 different D-Premium snares. Snare dry number 9, number 11, and number 17. So let's go quickly through those settings. Number 3, decay time around 300. and nothing else here. Then number 11, decay time around 250, and we are reducing the sustain a bit to minus 4.4, and then we are giving it a EQ here. Make sure to drop the EQ right behind the simpler, not behind the drum rack, because so now it's just affecting this one sample. Here the volume is down to minus 21. And then we're going to the last sample, decay time around 220, minus 17 dB of sustain, pitch down by 3 semitones, and we're making it a little louder to minus 10 dB. And the whole group is down to minus 22.5 dB. And now we are drawing in the MIDI information. Let's create a MIDI clip. And before we move on, let's quickly name those tracks here. This is our crash, pre-clap, clap. This here is our pan cymbal. Then we have our swing hats, hi-hats, and here we have our, let's call it and then we have the off hats. So now back to the snares. Let's listen in. Not so exciting yet. We are shortening the crash here, and the pan cymbal as well, and the head swing. And then we are going inside the snares and making them quieter, velocity down. So now we need a little bit of swing. So let's take the second and the fourth hit and we are delaying it a little bit. And let's listen in again. Okay, we can delay them even more. Something like this. By the way, we can delete the off hats as well and the claps. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Now we are making this main plug sound and loading in massive. For the first oscillator, we are taking this pulse to saw wavetable here, this one. Then wavetable position up to saw. And then we are going to take an envelope here and routing it to the pitch and moving this up to around 38. Then we're going to have a low pass filter here. We're making sure that the oscillator here is going to filter 1 and filter 1 is full applied. So then what we have to do is we're taking an envelope and assigning it to the cutoff. So we open up the cutoff a bit and then setting the range from around 8 to 12 o'clock. Now we are going to shape our envelope. Let's have a quick listen how this sounds now. We are decreasing the decay time a little bit under 9 o'clock, and we're taking a macro here and assigning it to the decay, and we are naming this filter decay. Then we are pulling down the level or sustain. In Massive it's called level. On other synthesizers it's called sustain, and we're taking another macro here and assigning it to this level and calling it just sustain. And then move up here the release time, and everything else can stay like it is. And let's have a quick listen. So now we have just a little plug sound. We're going to the modulation tab, make sure it's activated. Then we are applying the filter FM here to the first filter, and we're taking an envelope here to shape it. Something around here, but move up the attack. Everything else can stay like it is. Then we're going to the fourth envelope, which is controlling the amp by default. As you can see here, it's assigned. And what we are going to do is just decreasing here the level all the way down, the sustain, and we're taking another macro here and assigning it to it. And then pull down the decay time a bit here to around 11 o'clock, and we want to have a little bit more release. So then we're going to the voicing tab and putting this on Unisono 2. We're activating this pitch cutoff and giving it a lot of pitch cutoff here. We're detuning it. Then we can also activate this pan position mode and just pull this a little bit to the side, so the sound will be more stereo now. Let's listen in. Let's quickly rename this third macro here to level sustain. Then we're going to have here a delay, and we are taking synced delay. And then we are putting this 1 to 16 for the left channel and 1 to 24 for the right channel, and reducing feedback a bit and damp, increasing it to around 2 o'clock. Then we are just applying a little bit of this dry wet. And we are taking this velocity button and dropping it in here. Then we're going to have a reverb here applied, and size pretty small, density up and color down, and then we're just applying it a little bit. Something like this. And then we're going to activate this EQ, a little high shelf, and put up this frequency and boost it a little bit, down with the low shelf a bit. We took the wrong LFO here, it's on performance mode, so click here and go to LFO, and then we are selecting the triangle, and we're putting up the rate to about here. Finally, we're taking another macro here and we are assigning it to the cutoff, something around here, and then clicking here and going on configure, and then we can select the knobs we want to control. So we need the filter, the sustain, the level sustain, and the filter cutoff. Going back to configure, and let's call this cutoff. So first let's draw in the melody, and we're going to insert new MIDI clip. We want to have one bar here, starting with an F, so the F2. Then we're going up to the A here, and first of all let's pull up the velocity from the first hit here, and from the second we are moving a little bit down. And then we are just taking this note here and setting it to around 1.2.3 on an F sharp. Let's listen quickly in. We're not hearing that much because we have to open up the cutoff and especially the sustain and decay first. So then we are just taking this note here, placing it again to an A, and then we want to have a longer note here on 1.3.2, a shorter note here, then we're going back to an F sharp, and everything will repeat again. So now let's go to the filter decay and open it up a bit. Okay, something like this, and then let's shape the sound here first. We want to have 2 ping pong delays here playing. First one, move this up here. Click on 1, feedback to around 14%, and dry wet to about 22. And the second one can stay like this here. Go on, click on 2, feedback to around 30%, and dry wet to about 36. Now we want to apply some chorus here, just a slightly bit. We're going just down here with the dry wet to 33%. Then we are taking an autopan here, amount to around 52, rate up to about 2.1. Okay, after that we are taking a reverb here, and we want to have a decay time of 2 seconds, and then later on we will automate this dry wet button here, so everything else can stay like it is. Then finally we will have a utility, and we will automate this gain here as well. Okay, a lot of automations coming now, but this is, of course, it's important to keep it interesting, especially in techno, where you're just playing with a few sounds. You have to make sure you have some variations in there. Finally, I forgot, of course, we have to EQ it a bit. We want to just cut out here a little bit. We are giving it a lot of high shelf, and then around 1K, increasing here the EQ a bit. So let's check back. So guys, if you're doing those tutorials, you're so concentrated on those little details, you're not listening anymore. So let's go inside the MIDI clip here and select all the notes, hit Command A, and then Shift down. So everything is pitched down by an octave. Now it sounds right. And the next thing is here, we're going to 123. Okay, now let's draw in the automation, and we are starting with the cutoff here. If you select it, the first automation showing up will be the one you selected here. So let's drag this up, and then before the drop we are coming back and moving up again. So listen. Then let's take the filter decay, select it. We can move this up here as well. Then we're going back. Okay, I will tell you all those values later, just first let me get it right. So then we are taking this sustain. Let's try. And this filter sustain, we are just moving up this filter sustain here as well. Okay, and then let's go back to the decay time here. This is, we are starting lower. Reducing the cutoff a bit, and again the level sustain. It's too much applied. So let's go into massive, and I think I made a little mistake here. This sustain we don't need, we're just automating the sustain of the fourth envelope. So let's just delete this and set this on 12 o'clock. So now we need this utility here, again, show automation new lane, and here it's getting louder, so we are just reducing the volume a bit, and we can add here at the drop, we can add a little bit. Okay, and then we of course can automate the triode button here of our reverb and just open this up a bit. Yeah, this always takes some time to get it right. It's not perfect yet, so but let's go quickly through those settings. We are starting at 0 here for the filter cutoff, going up to 58 and down to 6 and then to 27. With the decay we are starting by 12 and going up to 47, back down to 6 and then to 16. And with the sustain we are starting at 0, going up to 24 and then around 80. And here with the utility gain we're going down by 3.5 dB. With the reverb we're going up by 29%. And this is just the utility gain again, showing up 2 times. And reverb again. Okay, so I think those are the settings. Let's move on, and of course now for the drop we need some crashes. So insert new MIDI clip, go on cymbals, and we're taking this dry number 1, create a MIDI clip, then we can just EQ it a bit and give it some room. 2 seconds is nice. You can make it pretty wet, those crashes, sounding nice with a lot of reverb applied. And we're moving down the volume to about -20. Let's listen in. We could go to 3 seconds decay time and can make it wetter. Okay, and then let's do a nice trick here. Let's take another crash. This is sounding really cool. We're just taking the same MIDIs here and then we're going inside, and then you can activate here this envelope tab, and by default this pitch bend is selected, and you can grab it and pitch it down and go up again. I give it some reverb as well. Okay, so we have some nice little crashes here. Don't forget to cut a bit. And we can make those plugs a little louder. And now we are creating another sound with Massive. So we are creating a MIDI clip, 1 bar long. Here 1.2.3. F1. We're playing pretty low. So then another hit here and another hit there. Okay, so now we're doing a really cool sound, a really nice step sound. This preset is called Step Ana from the Boiler Production preset. First let's go on new sound, and then we are taking this pulse to saw, wavetable all the way up, pulse all the way up, amp around 10 o'clock. And we're routing this to filter 1. Then we are activating oscillator number 2. and we are taking this hard thing wavetable, and here we're going to take best band minus plus or just plus, doesn't matter, intensity all the way up, level as well, and we're going to filter one here as well. Then the last oscillator, we're taking the drive 1 and intensity a little bit down, wavetable position around 2 o'clock. By the way, the sync wavetable position has to be something around here. And everything goes to filter 1. It's in parallel mode, and we have a low pass filter on. So let's listen in how this sounds so far. Let's open the filter cutoff for a second, and this is what we've got so far. So now we're doing a lot of modulations here. First we're going down by 1 octave and assigning the ring modulation to the second oscillator, applying just a little bit. Then the phase to the second oscillator as well, and moving it around here. Position on the last oscillator and around here. Then what we need to do is reducing the resonance and taking an envelope to shape the cutoff. And we are starting at 0 and going up to about 2 o'clock. Really short attack, and decreasing the decay a bit to around 11 o'clock, and then we are taking macro here with this range and we calling it filter decay. Alright, and then with the sustain or level we're going all the way down. Listen in again. And if we open up here this decay, we are applying some dimension expander and just a little bit size down. Okay, nice. Activate this insert and take the parabolic shaper and move it to around here. Then we can just take another macro and assigning it to the cutoff. Then we're going to the voicing tab. This is really important. Unisono to 4. We're activating here this pitch cutoff and assigning this fifth LFO to it. Range to about here. And then you go to the LFO section and reduce the amp. Okay. Next thing is we open up here this pan position and this wavetable position here as well. Okay, finally we're going to the envelope settings here and reducing the level, giving it a little bit more of the decay, a little bit more attack, and a little bit more release. Another thing I forgot to mention, we have to select band plus here on the drive oscillator. Okay, then again just configure and we are selecting this filter decay and the cutoff, and we are applying some reverb to it. We're taking 2 seconds decay time and reducing a bit of the tail and going on 33. And now let's go on the filter decay, automation in new lane, and here as well. And we're starting with the cutoff, and now we can play around a bit. Maybe we're going down with the decay. Let's open up a little bit the dimension expander. Find some other settings here. Okay, nice. And now we can just duplicate this track, and we are panning one to the left, the other to the right, and we are delaying the right one around 6 earlier. Okay, now let's support this with a percussion. We're going back to the premium percussion, and we're taking the dry number 17. Starting point here, and then just down with the sustain a bit. Taking the first two notes. Okay, quieter. And then we are just selecting everything and hit Command G. So then we are going to the group and EQ8 here. First we're doing a low cut, then again a low cut, and then we want to have a dip around 600. Q a little bit up, and then we are removing a little bit reverb here. 2 seconds decay time. Diffuse down a little bit. Adding 2 more filters, auto filters, one before the reverb and another one after it, and go on show automation in new lane. This first one is going down. And the second one is just cutting away around 2K. And this is just for the whole song. You can later open it up or reducing a little bit more. And we are just copying those settings here again. And here we can say show automation in new lane again, and we can open this one up here. Before we are playing, let's delay this by 7 milliseconds. Okay guys, this is the next day of recording, and I've just checked out the right values of the automation here, and I'm going to tell you. This is the filter cutoff here. You're starting 0.30, you're moving down, let me zoom in, to 0.05, and you just keep it like this, and just copy this value to all two massives here. And then we are coming to the filter decay time, and you can see the first two hits are playing at 0.17 and the longer one at 0.26. And you can also just copy this automation to all MIDI clips here and to all synthesizers. Okay, then let's go to the group. And on the group, we have those two auto filters here, and is cutting when the second hit is playing, and it's going down to 475 hertz right behind the MIDI note ends. And you can copy this value here to the second time again. Here, this auto filter is just at the first time here, it's just at 1.34 hertz, and then there is no cut at the second hit. So I hope this wasn't too confusing. Then another thing I forgot, we're going to the deep premium percussion here, and we are applying some chorus to it and some EQ8 here, low cut, and we're boosting a little bit here at the high end, around 2K. And then we are playing the notes at F2 and D2, D sharp 2. And let's copy this, let's have a listen. Let's move on, and of course here at the drop we have those two crashes playing, but we need more drop feeling, so let's do a nice white noise. And we are deactivating this oscillator 1 here. We are going to take the bright noise wavetable, color to around here, amp all the way up. Then we are taking a band reject filter here, cut off to around 2 o'clock, band width to around 11, and resonance to about 9. This one we're moving down, so just hearing the filtered signal now. Then we are applying some LFO to it. So we're going to envelope number 5 and routing this to the color and full range applied. Then we're going to sync mode, and we want to have 8 to 1. Amp all the way up, but we are taking the saw wavetable here. And this envelope is routed as well to the filter cutoff. Then move on, we are taking the envelope number 6 and we're routing this one here to the amp. And we need now again sync, we need 1 to 4. And again here the saw wavetable. Then we're going to LFO number 7 and making it LFO again. And this time we are routing it to the panning. Full range. We are just applying a little bit of the amp. Then we are moving up with the rate a bit to around here and applying this 5th envelope. Okay, let's have a quick listen. Okay, this is what we've got so far. Now we're going to have a unisono of 2, and we are activating this pan position here. Let's pull down the volume. Okay, now we create a MIDI clip about 1 bar. And now we are going to apply an auto filter here and an EQ. So we are cutting a little bit here, around 300 is nice. Then grab the circle here and make sure you don't have too much resonance Q here. We are automating this. And it's going down. So let's check it. Okay, let's duplicate this stuff here and we can drag it longer. Something like this should be fine. And of course, if we want to have some reverb, we can apply some reverb. have an interesting kind of white noise here playing. It's going down. And then it's starting all over and all over again. But here this auto filter is cutting more and more away. Okay, so now we need a little bit more on the drop here. And I've imported this dirty lead. We are not doing this from scratch, but you will find this preset here in the folder with the other drum sounds we need, because this would just take too long. As you can see, there is a lot of stuff going on everywhere like crazy. We're going to have a look at the automation. First of all, it sounds like this. And it plays nice together with those other leads. So let's have a quick look at those automations here. We have this automate button. It's the first macro. And this is just moving up to 36 and then moving down a bit. This is controlling a lot of stuff. Then we have this pitch. And this one is just going up here to 42. And then we have this beep. And this one is starting at 27 and it moves up to 53. So this one is the automation of our panning here. Goes from the left and moves up to left 12, 23.6 volume. Then we have some reverb. A lot of pre-delay, 73 milliseconds, and a little low cut on. 3 seconds decay time. The tail a little bit down, -3, and reflect up by 3, and around 40% wet. This is all you have to know about the reverb settings. And we have a little low cut here around 4K again, around 2.8K. We are making it a little bit more mono. Doesn't change so much. And then we have this sidechain compression here, but you can just delete this. So now let's create some background stuff here, again with Massive. This patch we're creating now is called Murmur. We are taking this Murmur, we are setting the color to around here and amp all the way up, and this is going to filter 1. And here we are taking a high pass filter 4. And we open up the cutoff a bit, something around here, and well, we want to just have filter mix 1, and then we're taking the iron wavetable here, intensity to around 11 o'clock, and wavetable position a little bit down, so go down with the volume. And let's have a listen. So it's already pretty cool effect, I think. And yeah, let's move on. We are taking here the chorus ensemble, increasing the dry wet. Cool. And then we're going to have a reverb. And here just density up, color a little down, and we are applying a bit of the reverb. Now we are going to the voicing tab and putting this on Unisono 7, activating this pitch cutoff and spread it a little bit to around there. And And then we can activate this pan position and move it to the sides. And make it quieter here as well. Now we can play here with the color. So, and this is already a really cool techno background. We are just creating here a MIDI clip, and let's play at the F, because the F is our root note, and let's loop this and make it quieter. Now we need some EQing here, and basically we're cutting pretty much here and a little dip there around 1K. Then we need some sidechain compression to the sidechain track, and just threshold down to around 40 is nice. And yeah, let's have a listen. Now what you can do is you can just apply here this macro and call it color, and then you can have some variation. You can automate this color here throughout the song. Alright then, you see I have two tracks here now, and this one is vocal 1 and this one is vocal 2, and you find those vocal chops inside of the folder as well. So let's do some nice background effect here. For the first vocal we just need this short MIDI clip here, and we're going to draw in C1, and by the way, volume is down to -28, and we're going to cut away here, just taking the end of the sample, and we're giving a tag around 79 milliseconds. Transpose this up again. Now it sounds like we want to cut away the lower frequencies. Even something here on the highs. Okay, and then we're going to apply some reverb to it. And we're going to about 3.7, and we make this about 30% wet. Finally, we are applying some simple delay here. We're going from 4 to 6 like it is on default, and just applying around 19% feedback and around 20% dry wet. Later on we will apply more effects here on this group. So then move on to the second one, and we will draw in a MIDI clip about 1 bar long, and the first one is playing D2 and around 1.1.3. Sorry. This long, and we're going down with the velocity a bit, and then just half a bar later on 1.3.3 it's playing a second time, and we can just loop this, and let's listen in. So again, here on the track we're taking some low cut, And we can make this higher again and give it a little bit of attack. Then we want to have another reverb here playing and dry wet to around 40 and around 3 milliseconds of decay time. And some simple delay again. And we're going this time 3 to 6, around 28 feedback and around 30% wet. Copy those notes and let's group those two vocals. And on this chain we are going to apply some more effects, and a really cool thing is here this redux, and go on soft mode and then just apply a little bit here. We're applying another low cut here. We need a little bit of sidechain compression here, again just to the kick. Now we can make this quieter. Let's duplicate this as well and listen in. So now here this massive patch is a little bit too loud, so let's remove this a bit and maybe go up with the color. Okay, let's do a final patch here. And here it's not so important how this massive sounds. It's more important the grain delay we will add after. So let's quickly, we just need a plug sound, and we are shaping a plug sound. Just take a saw and move this to filter 1. You take a low pass filter, assign this envelope to it and make a plug envelope. So pull down the level and then set the range to about 2 o'clock. And then we need some synced delay. Dry wet, full, applied, damp and feedback around here. And you're going for 1 to 35 for both sides. And it sounds like this. So this is everything you have to do. Low pass filter, envelope to it, this shape and saw. Well, then let's just create the MIDI clip here. And we're drawing in here an F. And then we are going to apply this grain delay. You can make really nice effects with this grain delay here. And let's put right away, let's put a reverb behind it. You can increase the decay time. And yeah, let's play around with this. By the way, the volume is down to -33 for now. Now let's play around with those values here. Okay, nice. We can just take here an auto filter as well. And we can sign in a little automation here. Something like this. And then let's take some EQ8 right before the reverb and let's cut out a little bit here. Make it louder. I've just applied another EQ here in front and with this shape here. Something like that. Can make it louder. Okay, let's compare it to the template. Of course, it's a little bit different. So we made this drop here. Let's listen in. Check out the link in the description for the production technique tutorial. There is also a playthrough video where you can listen to the whole song. Yeah, I hope you like this tutorial. There are coming 4 or 5 hour courses about deep house and techno in the next time. So check out the link in the description. Subscribe to our channel, visit us on productionmusiclive.com, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.